Hello and welcome! My name is Hero and this is my new Let's Try series of World of Warships. So, this is a game that's pretty different from what I usually do on this channel, but it's a game that I've been enjoying a lot recently, and at least it's tangentially similar to some of the things I've been doing in that it's a historical game, which I like, and because of the way ships move and the areas they move in, it is pretty strategy dependent, although it's maybe more on micro level than macro level, which I usually play. But as I said, I've been having a lot of fun with it lately, so I wanted to try it out on the channel if anyone would be interested in watching it, because that would make my life more enjoyable if I could spend some more time shooting down battleships. Anyway, as you couldn't probably already have guessed, the game is all about ships. They focus on ships from the World War II era, which is basically the latest time that all of these types were that much in use. Later on, it became very much based off carriers and smaller support ships. But this is the era of the big battleships, which is the ones that most people are focused on when they think about big, huge, great ships. Anyway, the game, as I said, is based on the World War II era. So most ships are based on historic ships, either historic ship lines or specific historic ships, since a lot of bigger ships especially weren't built in that many. Sometimes specific ships were very different from each other. Anyway, we have huge tech trees, as you can see, from Japan. Has all four types that are in this game: destroyers, cruisers, battleships, aircraft carriers. The US has the same. USSR only have destroyers and cruisers. Germany doesn't have any carriers because they didn't have any carriers. The UK has a very small tech tree, which I'm not really sure why. It may be because they didn't build that many ships during the war, or it may just be because they haven't added them all yet. It is in 0.6.0 at this point in the game, so who knows? And then there are some few countries here that has gotten some special mentions with some premium ships, which are something we'll come into later on. But let's have a look at the Japanese tech tree to kind of explain what this is all about. So, as I said, there are four lines of ships. So if you are a ship buff, or maybe even if you've just played Hearts of Iron 4, you might know that this isn't really extensive as to how you would categorize ships. So for example, cruisers will be further divided into light cruisers, heavy cruisers, maybe even battle cruisers, depending on how much you look into it. And battleships could also be subdivided into things like dreadnought class battleships and so on and so forth. But in order to make it a little bit more simple, the game are keeping it in these four different groups for matchmaking purposes, I think, more than anything. But that doesn't mean that that there isn't difference between them. So within these battleships and within these cruisers, some of them might be light, some of them might be heavy. And while it doesn't give you that much to choose from within the specific tiers, which we will come back to, it does mean that playing different ships have like kind of different play styles. So while one battleship might be a heavy armored brawling ship that you have to get really close in on your enemy and pummel him with your cannons, another one might be a ship where the play is all about like speed and distance. So there's a lot of things to dive into. And then we come to tiers, because all of the ships, as you can see, are divided into tiers, from the tier 1 being only cruisers, and then extra ships being tagged on. And we have tiers all the way from 1 all to 10, and that's kind of consistent through all the nations that we have these ships. And that's the way that they have fit all of those different ships from all the way back from post-World War One and all the way up to the very latest ships that were either built or just fought up during the Second World War. Because obviously there would be very different ships. So they've divided them into these tiers so that you only fight ships within a certain power range from your ships. So, for example, if you are playing a tier 5 ship, then you will only be fighting tier 5, tier 6, and tier 7 ships in most of your battles. This might be a little bit different if you're fighting in groups, or if people you're fighting against are fighting in groups, then there might be a little bigger difference, but usually it will be true that you only fight within this grouping. Okay, so that was how this was all divided. Then there are premium ships, which I mentioned, and the reason why there's this distinction is that all of these ships are free, as is the game, but you can buy stuff, which is mainly these premium ships, as well as some different things for your ships to improve them. This doesn't mean that the game is, at least in my opinion, buy to win or pay to win, because the premium ships isn't necessarily better than their counterparts, and definitely not necessarily better than all of the other ships that you can get in the other nations. Rather, they are just different. So, as an example, let's take this Texas, which is a variant of the New York battleship. And what is different here is that it has way more anti-air guns, but on the other hand, it handles worse. So there's some trade-offs there, which can change how you play the game. And that's kind of, at least as far as I have seen, and again, I haven't completely researched this game. I haven't played all the ships or anything like that. In fact, I'm quite a noob, really. But as far as I can tell, there is really no pay to win. Even all the things that you can put on your ships, which can improve their ability to function, you can earn through just playing the game. So how do you get down to all these tiers? Because when it says tech tier, you naturally think, okay, it's about research, right? Well, it is actually. When you play your ships, you get experience points. How many points you get are based on how you do in the battle, how much damage you do, how much participation you have in capturing points and stuff like that. And also various things like paying for premium can give you extra XP points, but those XP points are then used to buy upgrades for your ship, as well as buying or researching the next ship. You then also have to purchase the ships for in-game currency. You'll get a lot of currency early on for leveling up. So getting your first bunch of ships won't be a problem, but later on you will have to either play a bunch of games to earn enough money, or maybe even go out and invest some money into the game. Again, it's a bit like a game like League of Legends, right? Where you might argue that you probably won't ever get all the heroes without paying, and the same here, you probably won't ever get all the ships without paying. But then again, if you're interested enough in this game to put in hundreds and hundreds of hours, then it's worth some money. I have played Europa Universalis 4 for about 950 hours now, but I have also put in at least €200 in the base game and all of the expansions, as well as a few cosmetic upgrades I've bought. So if you look at this game, which is completely free, then, well, if you play it that much, why not put some money into it? So that's kind of my thought on it anyway. And as I said, it's not like it's gonna be that much pay to win. The things you can upgrade. Let me show that on a more expensive. It also, the higher tiers they are, the more things you get to upgrade and so on and so forth. But the things you can upgrade is like, okay, so this one, for example, is 15 of the doubloons, which is the paid currency, which is probably something like 10-15 cents. Or you can just pay for in-game money, in which case you'll need to play way more. But if that's what you want, if you want to do this for free, you can. You might not have as many different ships, but you definitely can. The same thing goes for the signal flags, which can improve your ships mainly through small bonuses. Can also give things like XP bonuses. Also, again, these are things that you can get by gaining gaining achievements in battles. The same thing for these camouflages, which can be improved. There are certain special camouflages that can only be bought, but the only difference they do compared to these that you can get for in-game money is that they give extra XP. So anything that affects how you fight, except for the premium ships, can be bought for in-game currency. So while someone who pays a lot of money will have those advantages all the time, at least if you want to play at a competitive level, you can have them on when it matters. Anyway, that's how I see it. So that probably brings me to what am I gonna do in this series? Well, I'm gonna be showing you some battles because I think that's probably what's most interesting, and I don't consider myself anywhere near good enough at this game that I can start giving you any tips or strategic input or stuff like that yet. So what I decided I'm gonna do, at least for the first few videos, is that I haven't really played with the Japanese boats yet. So I'm gonna start playing with these and recording my matches. And I'm only gonna show you those matches where I actually make it through at least most of them, or where they are really interesting, because there's no reason in you sitting around seeing me play for 5 minutes and then 15 minutes of me doing really bad commentary on the rest of the play. So you might not see all of the matches I play, but you play a lot of matches in this game. I've had this game for less than a week, and I've always played more than 100 matches, so yeah. What I'm going to show you is those matches that I think were interesting. So yeah, that's my idea anyway. Please post in the comments if this is something you would be interested in seeing more of, or if it's something you just don't care about. Of course, I can also evaluate it off of how many people actually watch these videos, but it would be nice to get some feedback from the viewers that are subscribed to my channel. Anyway, I hope to see you in my next video, where I'll be taking my first battle in this Hashidat cruiser. And until then, have a good day.